Good morning, everybody, all of my fellow travelers on Spaceship Earth. It is I, and I am Guy, coming to you live from Applewood Station in Denver, Colorado, where it is 9 degrees Celsius and sunny. 9 degrees. It's not bad. We're obviously kind of edging our way towards spring. Slowly edging our way towards spring. And there's a shopping cart in our park across the way. That's interesting. Never a dull moment out here. Never a dull moment. All right. So tonight I have my first comic book creation class at the Arvada Center, which is just up the street. And so I am writing up the syllabus today. I'm going to think about the silly bus. And you are going to help me. Well, you're going to do your own work, and I'm going to do my work, and hopefully that means that we're working. I have another camera on here I don't know where the other camera is for. Oh, that's the outside camera. You could watch outside. I'm like, where's this camera coming from? If I did this a little bit here, you guys could watch the shopping cart too. Tell me if the shopping cart does anything. Let's put this whole wire down here, though. You guys are probably already seasick. I might tape that down real quick, just so it doesn't go anywhere. Let's see, I could use this. Is this I'm going to be here because you told me to? Oh my gosh. So George, as soon as I got up, jumped right into my chair, like as fast as he could. There's a dog out there. Burf. Burf, 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 burf. Burf, 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 burf. Burf. There we go. George is like, what? Why? How did I end up here? How did I end up here? How do you ever end up in places? Now George has discovered that there are dogs out there. Okay. See if I can't figure out a way to secure this with this. And I don't think there is. Just fine. We'll just try not to knock it. There we go. I'll just put this like right here. There. It's a beautiful sunny day outside in Denver, Colorado. So we'll just put that there in the upper corner. That'll work. Okay. Introductions. I don't know. Hello. How are you? Are you doing work this morning? think I've got the camera fixing going one way. How are you this morning? I'm going to call you Unicorn, though. How are you doing, Unicorn? There's no music. Usually I've got music going. I don't have the music going this time. Let's get the music. Epic. Kind of like the epic music. This started off the day. Oh, wow. Poof, gone. George is just insane this morning. The cat has gone bonked. That's all right. I don't know if we've got music going or not. Let me see. We do. All right. Tonight I'm teaching a class on comic book design and comic book creation. So I might want to I've got to break this down into 6 units. And I've got to think about the 6 different units. And I would assume that like class 6 would be publishing. There we go. So we know we got a start, which is introductions, and an end, which is wrapping it up and publishing. And that's where we're going to be. At least this is where we're going to work from. So this is the way things begin. So I'm looking at this and kind of going, well, okay. We got 4 more classes in the middle. All right. Now, I might have already done one of these somewhere online. So I'm going to go look real quick to see. Because I am known for doing things many times. It's one of those things I am known for. I will have done the thing and then forgotten I did the thing, so I'm going to go back and do the thing again. Which, you know, that's a thing. So I'm just looking through all of my documents previously and see what we have here. Aha. Behold, I think I already did. Yeah, thanks. Was this damaged? No. Uh-huh. Here we go. Exactly like I thought. I have already done this, and I was just about to do it again. So originally we had 13 classes, which is easy. This just means pretty much we can just do the outline like it was. Hi, the insane cat is back. Yes, you're still insane. So, what we're doing here is 8, 9, and 10. And I may move these guys around once I've done this. 10. This is 4. This is 5. Because honestly, I feel like this one right here, where we talk about digital versus traditional, should be right off the top. All right, 5. And then we'll talk about finishing the page. And then this is 6. There we go. There. I don't think my cat's getting enough exercise. We have a lot of running around. At pretty much full speed. So it's making me think my cat is insane. All right. Because this says editing right here, but you know what? That really isn't a thing, because that's editing. All right. Now that we've kind of come up with a rough idea of what's going on, I really think that this right here, this one probably needs to be front. Like all of this right here belongs there, for one. No, actually, and hello, some user. Good afternoon to you. Evening. Good evening to you. Is it really? Yeah. Afternoon, evening. Um, and I'm hoping you're having a wonderful day. And I'm teaching a class tonight on comic book creation. And so I'm doing the syllabus, which I have called the silly bus because I think that's funnier. And I'm trying to break up comic creation into reasonably sized things. But I also think I'm blocking some of it, so because, so you can help me do that. I'll move this over here. I'll move me over here. So on. No, not that. If you want, you can also watch what's going on outside. I have a camera right here, so I was like, oh, I'll just point it out the window and you can see what the weather's like outside here in lovely Denver, Colorado. If you want to see something very interesting, some user, if you look, our sky is really dark blue because we are actually markedly closer to space. So we get a very dark blue sky, which is just kind of cool. Here we go. I'm just trying to get all this. I'm just trying to get this aligned there. So, all right. Your output is web-based or print-based. Is there any other way that you would deal with comic books? I'm living on a very big hill. most of the western part of Colorado and all of Utah and Arizona and up in the northern states, Wyoming and all of those, they're on a raised part of the ground or raised part of the continent because a long time ago, there were two plates. There was the Pacific plate and then there was the Rocky Mountain plate, and they collided. And when they collided, they created the Sierra Nevada mountains. And then all of a sudden, one of the plates snapped and went underneath like this. And that's called subduction. And when it did, this is the San Andreas Fault at California, the infamous fault that causes all of those earthquakes. It popped back up like this real quickly before it broke again and went back under. And when it did, it raised up a whole bunch of the United States all the way back to the end of what we call the Rocky Mountains now. So all of Colorado, pretty much the entire state of Colorado going up to the mountains, all of that is raised up. So we are 1.6 kilometers above sea level up here. So we're and once you get to some of the other places like Colorado Springs and some of the other cities that are on the Front Range, so they're not in the mountains, they're still out on the plains, but the plains have been raised, and so all of the plains even out after the mountains. So you have mountains, then it becomes very flat. But all of this has been raised up. So Denver, even though we're in the plains, you can't see the mountains, but this is pointed west. right? And ours is a very rich blue. I find that fascinating. Every time I go to sea level, it feels like there's a fog all the time because I'm so used to this color of blue. And so I'm like, even on a sunny, bright day, I feel like there must be a fog or something because the sky is not as rich of a blue as it is here. And all of it is because we live at 1.6 kilometers of altitude. But if you were to look at Colorado from the side, like a side view of it, let's pick just black. You'd see that it's got like a straight land like this, and then it comes up a little like this, and then there's the Rocky Mountains like that. And Denver is right here. So this is where my city is right here in Denver. So we're actually still in the flats. It's still flat around us. The mountains are quite a ways away. I mean, by car they're 15 minutes away. So it's not like they're really far away. If it wasn't for, let's see, if it wasn't for, let me get my little pointer here. This house right here, this house blocks the mountains. Otherwise, that you'd see the mountains all around here because this camera is pointing due west. Oh yes, it's very thin up here. Many people come to Colorado and then get sick. You have to. We tell everybody who visits that you have to spend a day in your hotel just breathing the air until you get used to it. So out here, then you get out to like out here, this would be where the state of Kansas is. And this is Colorado. And this is west. And this is east. And this is space. So but over here is where Brent lives. Too bad Brent's not here. Brent will somewhere show up, and when he does, I have marked him on the map. And actually, let's do this. Probably be easier if it was flat like this. If you were to look at all of this, then it goes like this and keeps going down until it hits what would be the Mississippi River. So it keeps going down and down and down until it hits the Mississippi. I mean, like altitude wise. So it keeps coming down and coming down from the mountains. But what I was saying before, the plate that made California went under like this in what we call subduction. And then it broke and popped up like that. So there's another plate of plate tectonics underneath here, which stops out there, and that's why we get this bump and rise. But all of these mountains are effectively crumpled ground. That's what mountains really are. So when you have two plates and they crash into each other. It's like a car. Like whenever a car hits another car and the hood of the car gets all crunkled up, that's what's happening here. The same thing. The the plate. So if we were to look at the United States, right? Here's the United States, and we'll go here with Texas and Louisiana, and then up here is Washington. This is California, right through here. And you guys know that there's a plate that runs through like that, and that's San Andreas Fault. And that's where the infamous, all the earthquakes you hear about in San Francisco and Los Angeles happen. Well, there's a plate out here, and this plate goes all the way around, and even over here, it's Japan. So this is where Japan is. And right here is the corner of this plate, and that's Mount Fuji. So Fujisan is right here at the corner of these three plates. That's why Japan has so many earthquakes, and Mount Fuji used to be a big volcano. So this whole plate creates what we call the Ring of Fire, because everything on this plate it has massive earthquakes. And a long time ago, this plate ran into this plate. And when it did, it created the Sierra Nevada mountains and the Rocky Mountains like that. And so all of this, all these Sierra Nevada mountains and the Rocky Mountains are all sort of like the crumple zones of two cars colliding into each other. And then this ends right there, and this is New Mexico here, and Arizona there, and Colorado is right here. And so it ends there, and that's Denver. And we sit right on the edge of the Rocky Mountains. Technically, we sit at the confluence of two rivers, the Cherry Creek River and the Platte River, the North Fork of the Platte River. And that's where they built Denver back in 1850. And that's why we're here. And now you've had your history lesson and geology lesson all at once. Hey, George, you're not as insane. Good job. George has been insane all morning. He's been running around and jumping on things and hopping around and being a general nuisance. So Kansas, by the way, goes all the way to the middle of the Mississippi. And Kansas City is right here on either side of the Mississippi. So there's a Kansas City, Kansas, and a Kansas City, Missouri, because this is Missouri. So, yes, you do, because that's the way it should be. And Kansas sits kind of like this, with the Mississippi kind of doing that, right? And then Missouri is right here. And so where Brent is, he's in Topeka, so he's here. And the Mississippi, of course, is the Great River. And so a lot of things you will see in America are divided. If you ever want to know what we consider the East and the West, everything this way on the Mississippi is East. Everything this way is West. And it's even true of like weird things like our television stations. All of our television stations have call letters, because back in the early days of television, you had to have a series of letters. You guys probably have it over there too in Europe, where you had call letters for your TV station. You know, this is a TV station, Channel 4, BRQM, and you have like, what do those letters mean? And everything in our television, everything on this side of the Mississippi was K, and everything on this side was W. So, for example, Our channel 9 was KUSA, right? Whereas on the other side, we had there was a famous station over there that used to do all PBS, public broadcasting, like Sesame Street, and it was WGBN, and that was the call letters for it. So everything on this side, the television stations would be called W something something something, and everything on the other side would be K something something something. And so you still can see those today. All of our television stations still have their same call letters. And originally, they only had 3 call letters. But about the turn of the 1970s, we got an extra call letter. We only have 1 radio station left, and it's because it's historic, and it's KOA. And KOA used to be a television station and a radio station. And then the television station was moved to KCNC, and the radio station was KOA. And it's still out there. We still have KOA. It's 85 on the AM band, I believe. Yeah, 85 KOA. So there you go. You've gone now into the history of television and radio, because that fascinates me. It's always fascinating to me why people do weird things. But one of my early jobs when I was younger is, PAL is a format. So when you're talking about PAL, that's a format. And we use a different format in America called NTSC. Let's see. Yeah. So you guys use a different format. For example, you have SVT1, SVT2, and SVT24. And then you have your children's channel, SVT Barn. That's just the way it goes over there, apparently. Sweden has its own thing. Is that Sweden? Is it Sweden or Switzerland? Where are we? Who are these people? What television call letters am I on? But, I mean, for example, England uses BBC. And they just put a number after it. So BBC 1, BBC 2, BBC 3, and BBC 4. So all of their television stations are that. But America's huge. You can cover a lot of England with only 4 television stations. But America is massive. We've got so much space. And television can only go as far as it can see. So, the curvature of the earth at some point in time makes it so that your television station can't reach too far anymore, right? This city over here can't hear your television station anymore because of the curvature of the earth. So there's not a whole lot you can do. If you're with America, you're going to have to put another television station here to get to this city, because everything's huge. I know all kinds of stuff because I'm awesome. I also have Google. I Googled it. Yeah, those are the state-owned channels, but there's other stations too, right? Those are your You've got like TV4 and TV4 Film and TV3 and TV6, and you've got like your Canal, KANAL, and of course, then you get all of the normal ones that we get. You get MTV, Nickelodeon, but that TV4, those are, gosh, you don't even have, you're right, you don't have very many of those. Doesn't look like you guys have any call letters. Okay, let's look to see if you had old call letters. Like they're no longer, we don't, we used to call this blah, but now it's this. Because SVT1 launched in 56. Yeah, so you didn't really need to necessarily. Because its terrestrial channel was on 70. SVEA. That's Finland, though. Yeah, so I guess it's just always been called SVT 1234. Oh, I like barn meaning child. Sometimes I have thought about leaving children in the barn. I'm just saying. Just saying. I'm okay with that. Oh, that makes sense. And canal means the same. I mean, I think it's interesting because, of course, it means the same thing, right? Canal, we have a word, canal, which means pretty much the same thing as channel, right? Except a canal usually is for water, but a channel is also for water. So it's just that with the modernization of technology, channel has become more and more meaning something you do with electricity. But I mean, up until 1900 or maybe 1920, a channel was specifically a water course, so water would flow through it. And a channel would be a place where boats could go from one water place to another water place. So, for example, in the upper part of the United States, there's a channel which goes through what we call the St. Lawrence River, which is a channel. So you can go from the Great Lakes all the way out to the ocean through the St. Lawrence River, which is a channel. And so, but it's interesting because you guys use what looks like canal, right? Canal. Oh, there's only one in. Wait, Trez. Canal. There we go. Right? Which that's cool because that's close in English and in Swedish, which I think is neat. I just like it whenever I find languages are similar in some way because it shows that somewhere down the road, your language and my language were in the same place. You know, there's like a history where Swedish and English were sitting in the same place, which I guess makes sense for both European languages. So, however, you've been on my channel long enough here to know that I'm always fascinated by people and why people do things and why people diverge in languages and things like that. Oh, next semester, I'm going to be taking linguistic anthropology. So it's the anthropology of languages. So we're going to get into all of these next semester in the fall. Because right now I'm still in spring semester, and so I still have to finish my cultural anthropology, my archaeological anthropology, and my biological anthropology. So cultural is about cultures, and archaeological is about old things, digging up bones, and biology is understanding like the history of us as animals, so kind of like as animals. So like the early hominids, the Australopithecus and Neanderthal, and all of those all the way to us. And I'm looking forward to it. And I'm not doing my work, but that's okay because this is fascinating. All right, here we are back here. All right. We don't want spacing to be this. We want. And why is it putting 2 in between here? I mean, this very much looks like this is double spaced. That didn't make it any better. Oh, maybe. I also think that somewhere Swedish language comes from Germanic languages of some sort, because anthropologically, which means that like looking at just the migration of humans, Sweden would be between the Slavic languages and the Germanic languages. So your Slavic languages would be coming in from the Baltic states. So from the Baltic areas, you get the Proto-Russian, before Chechnyan, all of those kind of languages coming up through the Baltics. And then from above, you'd have all of the ones coming from the Gauls, the Germanic languages. And English is built out of German and French. Yeah. So English, that's correct. So it's Indo-European, so a Proto-European language. But there's a lot of European languages that were out there. And so things get kind of messy because you've got like the languages coming up from the Baltics and stuff like that. And then you have the German languages coming down and they'd mix together. But you're close enough that probably some of your language is also Latin based, because Rome and Italy were Rome and all of the Roman Empire were very close to where you are in a lot of areas. So probably have some Latin, which also English is from Latin. So there's probably crossover there too. I mean, this is long before Sweden was Sweden and England was England. And this would be a long, long, long time ago when there was the Holy Roman Empire. Why is it double spacing this? It's not double spacing this, but it's double spacing this. And I don't like that. It's being a pest. There we go. All right, so if we talk about these, shouldn't be in this layer. There we go. That took way too much work. There. So yeah, see, this is gonna be this. Do I want to move that? I don't know if I want to move that. I love Wally Wood. Wally Wood's rules to comic creation. Never draw anything if you can steal it. And then he said, never redraw something if you can copy it. When you see me using 3D models to do my comics, it's a Wally Wood theory. And as soon as I started reading Wally Wood's setup on things, Wally Wood was a golden age comic artist. So he created comics in the 30s, 40s, 50s, going into the 60s. And I think he died in the 70s. I think. But his entire thing was, you want the comics out the door as fast as possible. So don't waste time. And there's no reason to spend forever doing a thing when you could just roll it out the door. So one of the things is, you'll notice that I often do my artwork tracing over a 3D model. I can draw it without the 3D model. It just takes 3 times as long. And under the Wally Wood theory, why would I do that? It takes longer for me to get my comics out. So kick the comics out the door. Use the 3D models. That's his whole theory. And I'm absolutely on board with that theory. So it makes total sense to me. And it has really made it. There's a lot of oh yeah, yes. Ooh, it's like in German. Wait. Because of course I'm 12 internally. So like my mentality, my maturity level is like 12. That's where I am. I'm just 12. Just accept it. It just needs to be accepted. There's nothing we can do about it. Right? Just the way it goes, man. Wasn't 18. Was it 18? Yes, it was. All right, here we go. I'm going to look around here. So I got to ride on fast trains while I was in Germany. That was awesome. I'm just saying because I'm a fan of trains, and that's just the way it goes. So, just saying. There we go. Wait. Because, of course, I'm like internally 12. No, it's all good. I'm like internally 12. So there you go. Oh man. That made me chuckle way too much. This is the same thing. The end. So with American culture, there is, and this is very much an American culture thing. It's not something you find in like the UK or Australia. It's the right. It's just okay. The Germans are awesome. I'm just saying. But anyway, in American culture, there is often a thing where you say something to somebody and you don't like the person, so you have an exchange between them, and then after you're done, you say goodbye, and then you turn around and go jerk, like that. That's a very much a like American TV. So I think that the reason why the end is so funny to us is it almost seems like you went through this entire show and then it's like slut at the end, just like throwing that last little insult. Meh. And so it has that effect because you'd use it at the end. So culturally, I think that's why everybody is finding it very funny because it sounds like you went through the entire show and then tossed out an insult at the very end, which makes it funny. So there you go. Yeah, it's like exactly. It's like a passive aggressive end. It's like, so I can see totally why they find that hysterical. Because we go through this entire show and everything was whatever happened in the show, and at the very end it was like uh, so culturally I can see that's probably why you're getting more ground out of Americans than you are, say, English or Australians, or you know what I mean, like other English speaking, because it just sounds like this last little insult tossed out at the very end, which probably is just making it way too funny. But that's very much an American culture thing, and not really. You don't see that in the other English speaking cultures this much. That's our little passive aggressive me, So, yep. Which I think is very funny, and I think that's awesome. All right. There we go. Right? I guess we could use it passive aggressively, but it has a different tone. Because there is There is a passive aggressive version of it, but it's a different tone. So, like, if we went, good for you, that actually is at face value exactly what it is. Like, like if you were to say, uh, I just got an A in class, I would go, oh, good for you. And that's genuine. But if I went, oh, good for you, that's sarcastic. So, that's totally passive aggressive. It's the thing. Uh, so if we flatten it out like that, actually, if we flatten anything out, we're being sarcastic. I mean, even just what I just said was said sarcastically, but I think that's more of a sardonic, which is a little bit of a different feel. So it's not sarcastic. It just means, you know, English is English. We're kind of, it's a messy language, kind of like an apology in a way. So there's like, we'd be like, almost if we flatten anything out, it's sarcastic, Sort of that sound there is kind of like, well, I'm sorry, English is a mess, you know, has the undertone. It's always passive aggressive. There is an American movie that just came out, like I think 2 years ago. And I'm trying to remember. Hang on, I almost had it. Oh crap, I'm losing it. I'll look it up. Hang on. Spirited came out 2 years ago with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds, and it's a Christmas Carol, but it's a remake of the Christmas Carol. But it's with Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell, and apparently they in the old days of England and thus it was good afternoon. That was supposed to be the bad word, which they made in the movie. In the movie, they made good afternoon a bad word, which of course it isn't. In English, it's fine. But there's another one that's interesting. Oh, I don't care. I don't know.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you, sir. There you go. I'm online. I'm just talking to some user is one of the people who's on my stream often. Is in Sweden. They are in Sweden. I don't know if it's a he or a she. They are in Sweden.
Right.
And so we're discussing the funny parts of English versus the funny parts of Swedish.
Oh. Yeah, so
Like,
you gotta be able to say something in Swedish with the right tone.
right? No. Some user, it's only an insult in that movie. It's not an insult in real life. That's what makes it funny, was because they just picked something that is normally okay, and in the movie it's a bad word, which makes them go through this whole song, and they are singing songs about good afternoon, and they're all mad at each other because they said good afternoon, and that's the comedy. Because really, good afternoon's fine. Oh, gotcha. I see. You're messing with me, and I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, there we go. That's totally cool. Although it is interesting, good day can be, it can be in English, and I mean in UK English, because Americans don't usually use good day, but the British will use good day as sort of an insult. Not an insult, a dismiss. Like they'll say good day, like that, which means go away, and that's interesting because it's British English. It's not American English. We don't use good day at all in our language, in English, American English. We just don't use good. It just sounds weird. So we'd be like, good day? And we'd be all like confused. Yes, good day to you, sir. And that's like, good day to you, sir. And then they'll stomp off. That's like, that's the British way of saying go away or I'm done. But Americans don't use good day at all. I mean, if you came up to us and said good day, we'd be like, good day. You know, like, we'd be like which is interesting because that means that the language is still evolving. It's still changing. And even though British and American English are still really, really close, they're already starting to come apart, you know. Because good day means nothing to us. We're like, oh. I mean, we understand it. We know that it's supposed to be a greeting. And if you're familiar with British television, then you know that it's a dismissal. But we don't use it as a dismissal, which is why good afternoon was funny. Was, of course, because it's sort of making fun of good day in the British language and picking something that's completely innocent and making it not innocent. That makes sense. Also true here. There's also like the C word, so to speak, the for the word for a woman's reproductive organs. That's really common in Australian English. Like the Aussies say it all the time as sort of a, you know, this is my buddy, you know, kind of thing, which is funny, but we don't use it at all. And it's actually so vulgar that they won't even allow it on TV. So it's like it's a super vulgar word. So vulgar, you notice that I'm not saying it because I actually don't want to say words like that on my stream. But it is kind of funny. But that's a very vulgar word. But it's the Australians don't care. They throw it around on TV all the time. They throw it around on TV. They talk. I mean, I've heard news reporters use it. So I mean, like, and here that would be the most vulgar thing. But it's like the word bloody. Bloody here means nothing. I mean, other than you're covered in blood, you know, or whatever. But in British English, it's referring to the menstrual cycle of a woman's menstrual cycle. So it's vulgar, which is funny because it doesn't mean anything in American English. So, which is actually particularly humorous because Star Trek, the first bad words in Star Trek were Chief O'Brien. Because technically he kept saying bloody all over the place. And Scotty kept saying bloody too. So technically the first bad words in Star Trek were in the original series. But since that was on American TV, we didn't care. Find that interesting. Insults are probably the first place you'll see divergence in cultures. Because that's very personal. Like, you know, me insulting you is a very personal one-to-one person thing. But me just talking about, you know, greetings or whatever, that's not as personal. So bet you that's part of the reason why the insults are the first place that you'll start seeing divergence between two languages. These are all things I'm just thinking about since we're here. I kind of wonder if maybe I should flip these around. I think I want to flip these around. No, not you. There we go. Did I move this over enough now that it's now used? No. Huh. Oh. We have an AI thing now, which they added to my Windows that I don't really care for. But they added it to my Windows anyway, so choice. Microsoft added it. All right. I should at least pretend like I'm doing work. Anyway, this is why, by the way, I'm going to be a cultural and linguistic anthropologist. All of these things are so interesting to me. They're so amazingly interesting. All of this is so interesting. Languages, your language, my language, why are they different? When did they become different? When did they diverge? How far back did that go? These are all so interesting to me. And so, and in a good way, like I'm not interested in finding reasons why you and I are different and shouldn't be friends. I'm interested in why we're the same and should be friends. You know what I mean? I think that that's part of what's so fascinating, is that we're all like the same people, and that's such a cool thing. I'm just fascinated by that. Oh, yeah. During the 30s, 40s, and 50s here in America, there was "go to the devil," which was an insult. But one we could use on TV, which was weird, because that was something Captain Kirk had said a couple of times on Star Trek. Go to the devil. Like, I'm not going to mess with you. But we don't use that anymore. I mean, it just kind of faded away. It's not really in our culture anymore. And you're right. Now, whatever devil, or devil whatever doesn't mean anything. In fact, seems like now it's almost cute. Oh man, my cat's being a little devil. It's almost cute now. Oh, your son was a little devil yesterday. Just meaning he was mischievous and like being, whatever. Yeah, go to hell still works. Yeah, that one still works, but go to the devil doesn't. That's kind of weird, because that phased out. What I want to think about, though, is the word cool. Because the word cool has meant, positive, interesting. It's meant that, but it's meant that since the 40s. People in the 40s would say that's cool, and it meant the same thing as people today saying that's cool. Like, that word hasn't changed. It means the exact same thing it did in the 1940s during World War II. You know what I mean? And that's an interesting thing. So if you talk about just slang in general, like, I come from Generation X, which is the 80s kids, raised in the 1980s. And so awesome and radical and using the word like all the time. Like we're using this word like all the time, like to talk about like different things, that kind of thing. Those are all 80s slang. So you can totally tell when somebody's from that era because they use those words. I use awesome all the time. I love awesome. That's one of my favorite words, because I can say, you'd say something and I'd say, that's awesome. Yeah, like, dude. But I was just talking about this to the kids in my class yesterday, because we have to watch a video about organ donation, because I teach driving. And right. But dude has changed. Like, you can use dude in 80s slang as almost interjection. Like if you were to write the C word here in my text over here, I might go, dude, like interjection, like don't do that, you know. But that's really 80s slang. So our usage of dude became sort of different in 80s slang. They don't use that much anymore. They use bro now for that. Bro, you know. And so that's evolved. And it's how you can tell the different generations apart in American television. Because an American from the 80s might go, dude. Whereas in the 90s, you'd start going, bro. And now they start going, brah. Like they're letting that O become an A. So it's now becoming bra, which I make fun of them because a bra is what women wear as upper underwear. So I make fun of my child on that time. I'm like, no, I'm not wearing a bra. I'm good. Which torments my child. Because I'm a dad, and dads do that. All dads are the same. It doesn't matter where you are. All dads are the same. But there's a movie we watch, which was made in like 2002 or 2003, about donating organs, and there was an initiative called Donor Dudes, and it was originally created by Gen Xers, so people of my generation. We've gone far enough now that they picked up like millennials who were kids at the time to say, be a donor dude. And I'm like, no, don't say it like that. Because anytime anybody from a different generation uses slang from a previous generation, it just sounds weird. It's the same thing when I use the slang for my kids' generation. He's like, no, don't do that. Don't say that. It's the same everywhere. I know you have the same thing going on there because I've heard of that in Japan too. And England and Australia and Belgium. Yeah. Yeah, dude usually means a person, or it became a person in the 80s. Prior to the 80s, it meant a man. So in the 80s, we started to expand it to mean women too. So it became a little bit wider in the 80s, but only amongst the 80s kids. The 80s adults wouldn't do that. Dude still meant a man. That dude over there, he's going to do whatever. He wants another beer. But now it's like, that dude over there, she wants to go over to this thing or whatever. And now you've got it expanding out to cover anybody. But we also use it as an interjection. And in the 50s, it was much closer to cowboy. So if you said dude, it meant a cowboy. Which is interesting because I think the original version of it in the 20s was like dapper. So somebody in a three-piece suit or with a tie. And so it changed to cowboy in the 50s, and I'm not sure why, but I think it did. Because now that if I think about it, it changed a lot through the 20s to the 50s. And then it stayed pretty much the same through the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. Then the 80s kids took it and ran with it. Oh yeah, I can imagine. It's difficult. I mean, learning another language is hard. I scanned in my notes from the first time that I was in Japanese class, And here, I'll show you, because this is actually kind of a little sad and funny at the same time. It makes me sad, but I'm okay. I'll get there. Here, I have to go the other direction now. Apparently, we have to go the other direction. But yeah, here's notes from my original first time I was in Japanese class. Look at the date. I have literally now spent over 30 years trying to learn Japanese. I was like, this is really disappointing to me. You add to this that my sister speaks like 7 languages. And so, we went to Germany and she's speaking German. We go over to Paris and she's speaking French. She speaks like Russian, and she speaks Arabic, and she speaks like all these different languages. And I'm like, really? And I am still struggling with Japanese. Right? It's a shell. Yes. What does he think that means? Oh, so they think that it's a barking dog, is what you're saying, is that instead of the gas station being a shell, they think it's a barking dog. I get it. It's kind of cool. It's funny how much we have to argue with our parents. I think about that a lot. Like, our parents continue to do these things where we're like, why are we arguing with the parents all the time? I think the funniest argument I ever had with my dad was over seatbelts, because he didn't want to wear seatbelts in case he ever got trapped in a lake or the car caught fire. And I'm like, so I told him about the statistics of how many people get trapped in lakes every year and how many car fires there are every year versus how many accidents there are every year. And he was like, well, you might be right. And I'm like, I'm a driving instructor. Of course I'm right. Like, why are you arguing with me? Oh, man. Ataraita irimasu. アルバイトをしています。It's a part-time job. レストランで仕事をしています。Go to work. レストランに勤めています。Oh, yeah. There are a lot of words that are like that. You know what's the saddest part about this particular page? I just now realized. 2 weeks ago, my teacher just talked about these 2 particles. This one and this one. And how you connect them together between the 2, so that when you use de for certain things, and then you use ni for other things. And I just realized, and I went, oh, I think I might finally get that. And now I'm looking at this piece of paper, and this piece of paper literally is me trying to understand the difference between this particle and this particle in 1993. In other words, not only have I been struggling with this particular grammar point, I have been, or with this language, but I've apparently been struggling with this grammar point for 31 years. I'm just not good with languages. However, I'm not giving up on Japanese. I've worked 31 years. I'm going to learn this language. It just may be the only language I learn, but I'm going to learn it. Because I'm not going to let this one go. I'm not letting this one go. It's taken me too much time. Okay. Oh, so, okay, here's the thing. Do you know the Dunning-Kruger curve? Have you heard of that? That's the... I'll show you. The Dunning-Kruger curve looks like this. This is how much you know of an object, right? So it goes kind of like this, right? This is how much you think you know versus how much you really know. So you're like, I am an expert at X, Y, or Z. Then you start learning about it. And when you do, you're like, oh, no, never mind. I'm an idiot. I'm here right now with Japanese. The truth of the matter is, I can speak Japanese, but I sound like Yoda. Or people tolerate it. Like, I can say to you, me, store, go. And that makes sense. You can figure out what I'm trying to say. But grammatically, it's not correct. Right? And there's nuance that's completely lost. Like, are you saying that you and I should go to the store together? Are you saying that we should go separately? Do you want for you to go to the store, but me not to go to the store? What's the story? You and me are going to buy a store. Like there's all kinds of stuff that you can't really tell. So my Japanese is you, me, go, store. That's my Japanese. Now I'm in class to get all of the little pieces around it fixed so that I can say, do you want to go to the store with me? Now I'm trying to fix all of that. And so that's particles. De, ni, e, nani nani ga, nani nani wa, and stuff like that. So the answer is, yeah, I can speak Japanese, but it's like caveman speech, exactly. So it is totally functional. If you drop me in the middle of Tokyo, I am not going to starve to death. I can get a hotel room. I can pay for it. I can go get food and all of that stuff. But everywhere I'm going, it's going to be hotel room 1. That's what it's going to be. It's not going to be, could I have a hotel room, please? There will be 1 occupant. You know what I mean? I can't use that speech. So now I'm learning that. But I'm chagrined when I look at this picture because here is 1993. And hang on real quick. Do. And oh, that's not even from this class. That's nice. And here is, hang on real quick. Where is it? Because I just did this like not that long ago. Oh, that's blurry. I should retake that page. I remember what day we were talking about it too. Oh, there's 2 pictures of that. That's always cool. There's the board. I don't know what Moon Boots is. Oh, it's because it's on this side. My notes are very, very complicated, but they make sense to me. And like, I can remember that we did something about this. Yeah, right here. Right? This is literally the same thing as this, where I'm talking about literally the exact same grammar point. And this is from 2402. So I write things in star dates, like Star Trek. So in Star Trek, this was a way we used to write our dates back in the 80s when all of us Trekkies would write things. So this isn't anything but a Star Trek version of the date. So just so you're aware, this is not a normal American date. So year 24, month 02, dot 22, which would be the day 22. So this was February 22nd of 2024. And this is from 1993. Almost this 1 month apart too, because this would have been, of course, January 22nd. And here we are at February 22nd. And here we are talking about the exact same problem. The funny part is, look at my day. It's almost the same. Like my handwriting hasn't even changed. Oh man, unhindered? In what way? Do I understand whenever? Oh, you mean without subtitles? No. I've been watching Shogun, the new Shogun, which is on Hulu, and I'm trying to listen to them talk without looking at the subtitles, and I still don't understand. But I'm going to try to practice that more because I discovered recently a trick that was working. So I'm going to keep going with it. My teacher assigned me the job of just transliterating a children's book. So it was a YouTube video of a children's book, and we didn't have to translate it. We just had to write down what we were hearing because the teacher wanted to check to see if we were hearing the words correctly and hearing the information correctly. So so we just had to do, but when we did that, I started to understand the sentences because we had to slow it down, and then I had to write it out. And once I started writing out the sentences, I was like, oh, I understand this now. And so I think I'm going to do that a little bit more. Find something and then just transliterate it. Just write it exactly as I hear it. Don't translate it. Don't try to make it into English. Just write it out like I hear. And I think that might help. That might be the trick. So, Yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm just appalled. I'm like, really? Really? Oh, well. Day, knee. And this is explaining it. This is totally what it was doing. I was like literally here, and this is where I was in 19 freaking 93 in the same spot. Takateimasu. I need to remember to use that. Takateimasu. Chibi Maruku-chan. Let me see. I'll go look. Oh, yeah. I see what you mean. Oh, this is cute. Wonder where it's on now. And you've got some time on that one. There's 142 episodes. It's kind of cool. There's a live action version of it. Because the anime ran. Oh, I stand corrected. There's 1,421 episodes. You've got a long ways to go on this. Oh, Crunchyroll has it. I have Crunchyroll. So I will add this to my Crunchyroll account. And I will watch it too. I'm already premium. Okay, yeah, I knew that. Let's see here. I will do Chibi Maruko-chan right off the top. Oh, and it's subbed. Nice. And my watch list. And Chobits. I don't think I've ever really watched all of Chobits all the way through. So there's another one that I watch, which is Cheese Sweet to Homu. So I'll watch Cheese Sweet to Homu, and that one's a good one too. It's about a cat. Yeah. But same thing, the language is simple. And so that's fair. I don't know if that's bad. I mean, Google is doing much better now on translating Japanese. I mean, there once was a time when Google translated Japanese and it was rough. And now you can get a relatively good translation of Japanese through Google. So I wouldn't think that ChatGPT would be bad per se, because it should be pulling from all of the Japanese out there. So, I mean, in theory, that should be relatively okay, I would guess. All right. I do need to finish this somehow. I'm not sure how I'm going to finish this. Actually, I'm doing fine. I just need to figure out what each class does. So we need to move all these things around and figure it out. Because I need to also get some paper from over here, paper from over here. That won't be a problem. Bring in some books. And I want to bring in, I don't know, let's see. Well, that's fair. What's your prompt? I mean, how do you tell it to do that? Because I'm thinking things like real world units DPI versus that kind of needs to be in web comics versus print. There we go. Oh. Oh, that's kind of an interesting idea. Okay. Okay. I'll give that a shot. I'll see what happens. I'm curious as to what that will result in. Usually do covers, and this is also part of that. Let's see what else needs to go in there. Because this is in roughing it out and then framing. 4 is production. And this actually should be 4. That's kind of cool, actually. I mean, I find that funny in a, well, that's an interesting, ironic way to do things. Okay, I'm getting over my music here. I'm sorry. It's driving me crazy. Too much brown. What else do we do here? I'm thinking about this because I'm streaming now, which is exactly what I'm doing. Probably. All right. We want this to be that. And these guys, oh, no. Why are you here? What is your problem? Weird. There we go. Work. Like I can't get it to line up with these guys anymore. So it doesn't need to be that. Doesn't really matter when it need to be that. So I need to be this one. I knew I could figure it out sometime. There we go. All right. All right. I think this is pretty good. I feel like the music is just stuck on repeating, no matter what I do. No. Like, really? There. I didn't spell it right. I can already tell. Sometimes there are just those words and you can't spell them right no matter what you do. Necessary. Necessary is a word that I cannot spell no matter what I do. I always misspell it. Perpetually. Right? Right? The funny part is, after a while, you're like, there's no excuse. This is the 4 billionth time you've written this word. There's literally no excuse for you to keep spelling it necatesseridazerity or whatever you're spelling it like today. You start to feel stupid. You're like, man. Like at some point, you're like, you should just have already gotten this down. There's no punctuation in anything else. Don't freak out. Hey, some user, who's the cat on your avatar? If it's not like a sad thing, I mean, like if it makes you sad, it's okay. There we go. That's fair. George does that from time to time. So I understand this. This all makes sense to me. Maybe it is. Maybe they're just looking intensely to see if, looking into your soul. All right. All right, it's 11:11. I probably should drop out of this and get going and go do other things today. Even though the battle plan does involve finishing this, I think we are pretty much done. In a thumbnail. You are always welcome, my friend. Always, always, always welcome. It was good chatting with you. It was good having. I just love talking languages. And I love that you and I will get into these language discussions. And they're just so fascinating. It's so interesting. And I learn all this great stuff about Swedish, which is a language I probably never would have thought to learn, but now I'm kind of interested. I'm like, well, maybe, except that I'm bad at languages apparently. But if I decide to go past Japanese, I'll go into probably Swedish because it sounds fun and it's a lovely sounding language. So I like the way it sounds. It's got a great sound. It's not like German, which is trying to kill you, or French, which when you try to kill somebody, it still sounds like you're saying "I love you." There's that. So I say that with love to both the German and the French people, because I actually enjoyed going to both those countries and had a lot of fun out there while I was out there. All right, but I am going to. Japanese is ridiculously hard. It is ridiculously hard, but I'll get there. Other people can learn it. I can learn it too. Just saying I can do this. I can do this. All right, guys. It was good having you guys all here today. I really enjoyed your company. Thank you for joining me today. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day, evening as time goes on, maybe even tomorrow. And then I should be still streaming tomorrow morning. I might be streaming tonight. I don't know. Depends. I have the kiddo. So while I have the kiddo, I'm trying to make the best of it. So sometimes we watch movies now at night and they go past my 9 o'clock start time. So we'll see. I will see you all later. And as always, keep your eyes on the stars. Goodbye.